Good evening and welcome to opening night of season 4 of the General Society Artisan Lecture Series and to the General Society of Mechanics and Tradesmen. My name is Victoria Dangle. I'm the Executive Director of the Society, and we welcome you here tonight. For those of you who are not familiar with the organization, we were founded by the skilled craftsmen of New York City in 1785. And at that initial meeting, there were artisans who represented 22 different trades, including carpenters, saddlers, tailors, and silversmiths, among others. Today, this 228-year-old organization continues to serve the people of the city of New York through its educational, philanthropic, and cultural programs, including our Tuition-Free Mechanics Institute, the General Society Library, and our century-old lecture series, of which the Artisan series is a part. The magnificent space you're in tonight is the Library of the General Society. It was founded in 1820, and it's the second oldest circulating library in New York City, and one of the city's 3 remaining membership circulating libraries. Our book and periodical collections go back to 1785, and library memberships are available for as little as $35 per year. Tonight, we gather once more to pay tribute to the art of craftsmanship. The Society will again be featuring internationally known artisans who will talk about the intricacies of their specialized crafts. Camille Wiart is the daughter of Jean Wiart, who has curated the series for 3 years and who is a master ornamental metal worker. So we're so happy to have Camille following in her father's footsteps. The General Society extends its sincere gratitude to the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, the McQuestion Companies, Peter Penoyer Architects, Ferguson and Shamamian Architects, and John B. Murray Architects. And now I introduce Camille Wiart. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. So my name is Camille Wiart, and I'm the creator of this edition, this season's. And it is my greatest pleasure to welcome you all to the launch of this 4th edition. Good, beautiful, true, and right. These are the 4 transcendent values that characterizes the goal of these lectures and that brings us together this evening. Our generation today needs these values more than ever before. Your presence is important and highly appreciated. Ateliers Gohard is de facto the most prestigious atelier based in New York and Paris of gilding. Family-owned business, started by Mr. Gohard's grandfather, handed to the father, and now to the son. The apprenticeship is long and tedious. With every new project, be it a restoration or a creation, is all about pushing the craft and pushing oneself to higher standards of excellence and ease, and the outcome is mind-blowing. So without further ado, it is my pleasure to pass the floor on to Sebastien Vallin, who has worked with the Gohards for many years and oversees new business development as well as being a hands-on craftsman. Please keep your questions at the end. There will be a Q&A session. Thanks again and welcome.
So good evening, everybody. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Camille. I would like to thank you for being here and having interest for craftsman work, and especially tonight for gilding work. I would like also to thank Jean Wiart, who is a very important person for us. He's a friend of the Gohard family and always have been very helpful with the company for the work we did here in the US. And it was always a pleasure to work for his company, LMC, and doing gilding on those beautiful railings they are always doing. So I'm going to first tell you a little bit about this company, Ateliers Gohard. It has been created in 1962 by Mr. Robert Gohard. He created this company after working in a gilding shop during 25 years. He started his apprenticeship when he was 14 years old. It was the case at this time. The apprenticeship was something you were starting very young. Now people are more starting it at 18 or 20 years old after being graduate, so times change. Now, after him, his son, Fabrice Gohard, took the leadership of the company and still develop it. And today, Baptiste Gohard is leading the company and still try to develop it by adding his energy and all things to make it bigger and bigger. So the company today is 30 employees. There is about 22 gilders, and there is 8 people working in the office to try to organize everything. We have 3 workshops, 2 in Paris, 1 in Brooklyn. One in Paris is dedicated to restoration and conservation, the traditional work, the real traditional work. And the other one is more dedicated to new finish and more decorative finish, things more contemporary. And in Brooklyn, we're doing both, actually. So to let you know the kind of company we are and the kind of job we can handle, I'm going to show you a few pictures. This one, I think it's a good start here in New York. This work has been done with LMC Corp, who did the metal work. And the gilding has been done by Fabrice Gohard and Robert Gohard. It's something the company is, of course, very proud of because it's a very visible job. Everybody knows it. And it's always good to speak about this one. Here I want to show you this picture because until now, I think it's the biggest project in terms of quantity of gold leaf, which has been done by Ateliers Gohard. It represents a quantity of 5,100 leaf, which is really huge, and it took about 6 months for 25 gilders to do this job. And after that, I'm going to explain you how the gold leaf are done. So you will see that 500,000 leaf is a really big work. This one is Place de la Concorde in Paris. It's also something the company is very proud of, because everybody can see it a lot, like tourist people going to work every day across this place and can see the work we did. So it's always a pleasure to see in the eyes of people the sympathy they can have for what we do. This one is also a very big job and a very interesting one. It's in the roof of Versailles. And the specificity of this one is that we were the first one who did the gilding of the roof of Versailles. Most of the time, for historical projects, we do something which has been damaged by time. And this was a project in the 18th century which has never been done because of a historical event like the French Revolution. So, but now the policy in Versailles is to rebuild the castle as it should have been achieved during the 18th century. So we are also proud for this job because we were the first one to gild this part of the castle. So we're going to speak about the origin of gilding. It's something which is very old. I mean by gilding the gold leafing application of thin gold leaf. It's something we know from antiquity. We have the proof of the existence of gold leafing 5,000 years from now. And it was very used in Egypt because at this time gold was the only metal which was known for having no oxidation on it. So it was a good symbol of longevity, so the symbol of divine. And until now we can see and find pieces which has been gold leaf and they are still gilded, like something you all know. This is a work of gold leafing, and until the gold resisting in time. And this work is done by the gold beater. We call it the gold beater. So you can see here, it's a gold beating shop. I think it's a good representation, even if now, of course, the shops are very different from this, because there is machines who are doing the job. But here, the steps are still the same, even if there is a machine now. So you can see I'm going to use this. Here you can see the oven, where they put the gold to make it liquid. And after this gold becomes liquid, they make a bar with it, and they flatten this bar to obtain like a roll of gold, and they cut this roll in square pieces. Those square pieces, they put it in a book. You have a sheet of paper, the gold, and another sheet of paper, and the gold, etc. And they hammer this to have the gold become very thin, like this. Here we see the hammer which was used, and the process was done by hand. So you can imagine how it's hard and how many times you have to hammer this to obtain a gold leaf which is 0.1 micron thick. So it's something really crazy when you imagine it, and very hard to obtain. Now this operation is done by machines, but there is still many operations which are done by hand. Like here is this one. This is a book in which they put those pieces of gold, and here you can see that the leaf becomes bigger than what it was at the beginning and very thin. On this picture, the gold leaf is not regular. You can see that it's round and imperfect on the side. And here, this operation consists of recutting this piece of gold to have it square. This operation today is still done by hand. So I was talking about the Invalide project with 500,000 leaves. So you can imagine how long it is even to do those leaves. At this point, when they are doing this operation, it's the moment they choose to do the different kind of leaf we can have, like palladium or gold or moon gold and everything. And it's the time also we ask for the thickness of the gold. It can be thicker or less thicker. For example, for the outside, we use a thicker leaf than for the inside. This operation has to be really controlled, because we need to always have the same quality of gold and exactly the same thickness if we want to be able to guarantee our work. Even for the color, it's very important, because if we apply 1,000 leaves, if there is a difference between two leaves, we will see it and we will have to redo the job. So with those leaves, we can gild many things, like wood, plaster, metal, resin, glass, and stone, and maybe we can imagine more things like that. The only thing is to do different preparation before we apply the leaf. I'm going to speak now about the traditional gilding, which is the water gilding. This is the main technique we use for inside work and restoration, and also on furniture. It's a technique which is very strong and resistant, but only for the inside. I will speak after about the technique we use for the outside. So here are the main produce we use for the preparation before the gilding. It's always the same produce, but we just mix it in different way. We have the rabbit skin glue, which is actually collagen. This is something which is solid when we buy it, and we mix it with water. It has to be warmed, and when it's warm, it becomes liquid. So all the work we do has to be done warm, always. So we mix this rabbit skin glue with clay to obtain a gesso to apply on the wood. this is the first step, which is gluing. We mix all this rabbit skin glue with some clay, but not too much. It's just the clay at this moment is just to see where we apply the glue. Because if we miss somewhere, all the steps after will not stick on the wood. So this is a very important step. We also add some garlic in it. The garlic has two good properties, which are to reinforce the strength of the glue, because it's very sticky. And also, it's a good fungic against insects. So it makes the furniture and all the wood paneling we're working on more durable in time. So here, we apply now the gesso. The gesso, it's the same base than the gluing. We mix the rabbit skin glue with clay, but we put more clay, and when you obtain something, a liquid, but much more thicker, which still have to be used warm. We put about, it depends on the work, but we put about in between 5 and 10 coats of this gesso. And as you can see, the sculpture, the carving, disappear a little because there is a lot of quantity of gesso on it. So at this point, we have to redo the carving, which is a very big part of the work we do, and it's a specialty in gilding. The people who are doing this, what I'm going to explain you after, are almost only do this operation. We call it recutting. If they are specialized in recutting, it's because it's something which needs a lot of application and a lot of time to learn. It's about 10 years working on that kind of work full time to become a good recutter. So even if at the beginning of the training they also learn gilding, when they like it and they are good at it, they decide to be specialized in this technique, and they almost never gild after this. They just spend their time doing recutting. It's a work which needs a lot of concentration and a very good knowledge of historical art, because depend of the century, in between the 16th century and 18th century or 19th century, the technique of recutting are very different because the carving is different. So they really have to know how to adapt the way they work to the piece they are working on. And this is a tool they use. They are like this, and they have many of those tools. Each recutter has about 100 of those, and he is doing the tool by himself. He creates the tool himself. And because they need to have many different shapes to be able to carve and to recut all the different parts of the carving. So they really know their tool, their own tools. They can even not really work with the tools of another guy. And when they work, they have those tools in front of them, and it's quite, it's very impressive to see it. They know before they're going to do something which one they need. So because of this, it's a real specialty, and even if every gilder knows a little bit about this technique, we can say that when it's a big piece, an important piece, we just can ask to those recutters to do the job. So this is a piece which is a recut, and we can see that we have the carving back, and the carving is really readable. This technique actually is really a French technique, which is not really used in Italy or in Spain, for example, and which has been really developed in France. And because during the 18th century, the wheel was really to get very nervous carving and something which catch the light a lot and have a game between shadow part and light part. And we're going to see that it's exactly the same with gilding. So this is a step we have after the recutting. We call it a yellow glue. This part of the job has many different reasons. So we still use yellow rabbit skin glue mixed with yellow ochre. The yellow ochre is there that because when we're going to gild, they will have some crack in the leaf. So the yellow in all the bottom of the carving will make those cracks almost invisible. And the other reason of this step is that when the recutting is done, there is also sanding which is done. So there is a lot of dust on the support. And this is a good way to remove all this dust and to have a very clean surface to receive the gold. Then there is a ball, we call it Armenian clay. It's a natural clay, very thin, which will receive the gold leaf. We apply, this clay is still mixed with rabbit skin glue. There is rabbit skin glue on each step of the work. So the clay is mixed with rabbit skin glue. We apply it warm, always warm, on the top surface. This is important because when we're gonna have to burnish the gold, which I will explain you after, this ball will be the reason for which we can obtain a very bright gold on some part of the work. So now we're going to speak more specifically about really gilding. So here we have the tools. We don't use so many tools, even if those tools I told you we have 100 per person, but even if the shape is different, it's always the same tool. And for the gilding, it's the same. We don't have so many tools. We have here a brush we use to catch the leaf and to apply it. Here we have a knife we use to cut the leaf to obtain the good size, the size we need. Here is the pillow. This pillow, it's where we put all the leaf and on which we're going to cut the leaf. I can show you a real one. I have a real one here. So we put the leaf in it, and when the leaf is there, we cut it on the pillow. And we cut the leaf with this brush, and we apply it on the support. And there is also this knife, which cut a lot, we can use to cut the leaf. The parchment here is to protect from the wind, because the leaf is so thin that it's a real problem when it's windy. Even if just someone walk close to you, the leaf will go everywhere. I have some leaf here I'm going to give you, and you're going to see how it's thin. You can touch it, and you can see how it's thin and how it's hard to control it. So it's why we need this parchment to keep the leaf in the pillow. And we also have the last tool, which is an agate stone. Here I have one. We use to burnish the gold. We have to wet the support with water. We always put a little bit of rabbit skin glue in the water to make it more sticky, actually. So we wet the support and we apply the leaf. And naturally, the leaf goes on it and stick on the support. We have to wait after that half a day, depends on the temperature, if humidity, or sometimes a day before the next operation. Here you can see that here, you don't see too much, but here it's completely wet. We have to put a lot of water. And we apply the leaf with the brush, and it takes the shape of the surface. And here is the operation of burnishing. So, as I said before, in the French gilding, there is really the will to have big deepness in the carving and to have the carving very readable. So after the recutting, we also do burnish some part and let other parts matte to have the item catch the light very strong and in different way. If you move around the piece, you will have different impression if the part is burnished or if it's not. It's always a point about having alternance, I mean shiny part and matte part. So the item now is gilded, entirely gilded, and we have now to do the patina, which is a very important step. It's something very hard to learn because it's really something about the sensibility of each craftsman. Nobody actually really teach you how to do the patina. It's something you have to understand by yourself because it's something about color and about your own appreciation. At this step, we have to listen a lot to our client, to the final client, to know what he wants, what he likes, and what will be nice in his interior. And when we are doing restoration, the patina has to match perfectly with the rest of the room. If we restore just a piece, the new piece we do has to match with old pieces. So there is no really rules with patina. You can use whatever you want to do it, paint or dust, and it's not just adding things on it, but it's also about distressing the gold to antique it, to remove some part, to let other part. Sometimes you can see, it's good if you can see the bottom, the background, and you let the red ball appear. You can even let the gesso appear, and sometimes even the wood. So it's something which is all the craftsmen cannot do this step, actually. There is people who are really specialized in patina. So this is the room achieved. It was in Getty Museum. And on this picture, you can see we also do the paint. It's a French patina on it. The picture is very dark, you cannot really see it, but it's a French patina we also did. The paint we used for this is also, the base of the paint is also rabbit skin glue. Because centuries ago, the base of the paint was the same than the preparation for gilding. The different thing is you don't have clay in the rabbit skin glue, but you had different pigments. So it's a paint quite hard to use because it still has to be warm always. And if it's not warm, it becomes very thick and you cannot apply it on the wall. And even when it's warm, it's a very complicated technique when you apply it. So it's another example of water technique gilding. Here it's a Queen's room in Versailles. All the balustrade has been redo because the old one was so damaged that they decided to redo a new one. Even the wood and the carving are completely new on this one. And it was a very big work of recutting and of course of water gilding. We did the same job for the Queen's room in Versailles. It's also something completely new. It's and the wood is the old wood is was completely damaged, and we have to redo everything. Here it's a Boiserie Ledoux in Getty Museum in Los Angeles, and it's also water gilding, but there is also oil-based gilding on this one, which is the other technique I will explain you later. And there was a big work of decorative paint there on the door, which are trompe-l'œil. This is the Irish Embassy. This is a restoration. It's not a restitution, or it's only a restoration. There is only just few parts who are regilded. And here, the technique of patina is very important because we have to make it match the old parts. So this is also the Irish Embassy in Paris. This is the City Hall in Versailles. This boiserie disappeared because of a fire. So this one is completely new. We have to redo the wood and the carving and the recutting, the gilding, and even the patina. Because even if when it has been done at the beginning, there was no patina on it. During the 70s, 80th century, they were not doing patina. And with time, the patina was coming. But now, as everybody is very used to see the gold, very old, nobody will assume to have a room completely new. So even if we could have done this work without patina, to make it acceptable for the people who have their eyes, the modern eyes, we have to do a patina to make it old. Here we have the Galerie des Batailles in Chateau de Chantilly. The work here is done, all those parts, the pilaster and the frame of the mirror are done by water gilding technique. As they are the most visible part of the room, they are done with this technique because it is the best technique we can imagine and the best result we can have in terms of gilding. The paint here it's also a paint done with a rapid skin glue base, but here all the cornice is done by another technique, which is oil-based gilding technique. It was something very common to have the upper part done by this technique. First, because it goes very faster to do it, it's easier to do it, and it's really cheaper. So even if it's still gold, they were doing the upper part by this other technique. The other reason is that the oil-based gilding is less resistant than the water gilding technique. It's why actually on the furniture, the oil-based technique is not used. But for the upper part of the room, it's not a problem. So now we're going to speak about oil-based gilding. This is a technique we use outside because the water technique cannot resist to the water or to the wind, and also because we cannot do it on metallic surface, for example. Here we have the grill, the main grill of Versailles, which is a restitution. It has disappeared during the French Revolution, and they decide, as I told you before, the policy of Versailles is to rebuild the castle as it should have been done before, or how he was. So they decide to redo this grill, and to do this work, it took about 6 months with 4 or 6 gilders, depends on the moment. It has been done on site, of course, and we used 100,000 leaf to do this work. It took more time actually if we compare to the Invalid work, even if there is less leaf, but it's a work which is more difficult than the Invalid work because first the Invalid work is on the roof, so you can't see really the details, and it's mostly flat part on the roof of the Invalid. Here, the details, the foliage, and the metalwork is very complicated. So it's a big performance to gild something like that, because you have to go in all the deep corners to apply the leaf, and it's not so easy with this oil-based technique. So the oil-based technique, which was used also on the flame of the statue, we have to prepare the support with paint. Most of the time, if it's outside, we use epoxy paint or oil-based paint to protect the metal. But if we work on on wood panels. We will do the same preparations for water gilding with a gesso, even if now there is a acrylic gesso. And for the outside, so after the preparation of the paint, we apply a kind of varnish. We call it gold size. This gold size, it takes about 12 hours for this gold size to dry. When it's dry, it's still sticky, a little bit sticky, not too much, and we can apply the leaf on it. The leaf, just stick on it, like on a glue, and we have to dust all the piece of gold. We still have some, and we still keep it, because it was a good souvenir, I think. And this gold is very thick. We decide to, actually Mr. Gohard and his father decide to use this gold because of the situation of the statue. It's in the middle of the water. The water can be salty, and the weather here in New York can be very cold, very warm, so the gold has to be very resistant. Even if it's still really thin, it's if you compare to the leaf we normally use for the outside, here it's the double of the normal gold we use. And the purity of the gold in this case was 23.5 carat, which is the purity of gold we always use outside, because if we use the gold for the inside, which is 22.5 carats, there is more risk of oxidation when it's outside. At one point, they were very concerned about the budget, and they were doing a lot of work only by oil-based gilding, which is something also very beautiful, but you lost a little bit of brightness when you use this technique. Here we have a work which I did with Ateliers Gohard. The railing has been done by LMC. And I show you this picture because maybe it's one of the best work of gilding I did on a railing. And it's not only because now I would like to speak about the craftsman work, and because the technique is something, but there is really much more than this in what we do. And here the pleasure to work on this is because the metal work was a very good work. And if the work we are working on is beautiful, what we do has a possibility, if we work well, to be really beautiful. We cannot do something beautiful alone. We need to have this relation, and we need to appreciate what's done by other craftsmen to understand the work they do. For example, here there is an antiquing on the gold, even if you can't really see it, but as the foliage are done by a repoussé technique, when we do the antiquing, the piece becomes really more beautiful than if it has been not done by a repoussé technique. So a part of the beauty of what we do is really come from the craftsmen who work before us. And we always work on the top of something. Here it's metal work, but it can be carving, woodwork, or casting. If there is no miracle, if the work before us is not beautiful, we will not do miracle, and the work we do cannot be as beautiful as it is here. So I'm going to show you a few other type of, because until now we just saw old-fashioned work, but we also do more modern work and for decoration. So we can do this on walls, glass ceiling, floor, and furniture. And we try to develop many new techniques. We always try to remember the old technique, and we try to mix them with the new produce we can have to get some new finishes. Here, for example, is a gilded slate. The point here is to use a natural pattern to gild it, and to have the pattern coming back with the gilding and the antiquing of the gold. It's always something very interesting to use the natural design to gild it and to discover that you can make something really beautiful, like here, and some very good finish with something which is very easy. You just have to take something you think it's normal, even if the piece here is already beautiful, when it's gilded, it becomes really something else. And you, with almost nothing, just adding a very thin leaf on the top of anything, you can make something beautiful. So here we create the carving by sandblasting, and we can obtain many different patterns, and we can gild them with many different colors of gold, and obtain many possibilities of decor. This one is done on glass, and here we have two different techniques. The two techniques I was speaking about before, we have it here. Because we can also do water gilding on glass, but we don't have to prepare the glass like we have to prepare the wood. We just have to wet with water and a little bit of glue in it, the glass. We apply the leaf, and when it's dry, you have a mirror effect. Here you can see the flowers are done with white gold, and there is a mirror effect in the flowers. The background, which is blue, is done with gold leaf, or silver leaf actually, which are done in Japan. It's something we use more and more now. We try to, even if we are used to get our leaf from Germany most of the time, we also try to discover what exists everywhere in the world. And Japanese, but what is interesting is that we can get colors we are not used to with leaf. We can have pink, green, and whatever actually. And the branches which are in gray are done by palladium. So the branch on the background are gilded by the oil-based gilding technique. So here is a mix between all the technique on glass. So this is not actually modern, it's something which was existing for a very long time. We call it verre églomysé, églomized glass. It's a work in between paint and gilding. We use both techniques to work on, to do this type of work. Here what you see is the background of the glass. Here is the glass achieved. So we can see that the paint, as it's done on the background, everything has to be done reverse, which is a very strong exercise for brain, because you have to think all the steps reverse. And at the end there is gilded part to highlight the paint. And of course here you can see that also the frame is gilded by oil-based technique, this one. This has been done for a private residence in Qatar, and it's a copy of a painting from Versailles, which has been done by Marie Antoinette actually. Here we have a good example of what I said before about the mix of the new produce we can use and the old technique we learned. This is done on a canvas. We apply the gesso I showed you before, always with rabbin skin glue. So we prepare the canvas with gesso, and then we paint it with polyurethane paint by spray gun, which is not very something traditional. And so we do the color we want to have the background we want, and then we apply the gold leafing on it. It can be done by water technique like we do on glass, or by oil-based gilding. This one is done by oil-based gilding. Then we crack the canvas to obtain the texture we want. We can see different examples of texture. This is another one with another color of gold. And we have here, the damier is something quite traditional, and we do it by, we can do it on glass with a water gilding technique. So you will have a glass with, you will see the square of the leaf, but it will have a mirror effect. So you can do a mirror by this technique. Or most of the time we are doing it by oil-based technique when we apply it on ceiling. This one is antique, and like this one. So you can see the square because there is an antiquing of the gold, and you can see the background. This one is red. You can see it very much, but it's red. So it gives a lot of light in the room, and we do a lot of damier like this one. This is something which is quite traditional. We can use also stencil to do gilding. We also use them for painting to get the pattern we want. So we draw the pattern, we print the stencil, and we apply it on walls, furniture again, and we gild it. This is done by oil-based gilding most of the time. It's another example of stencil we can do. We are doing work on furniture like this one. Here the gilding is done with moon gold leaf. So the moon gold is mixed between palladium and gold. It gives a champagne color. Here it's another example of moon gold done on those lights. This is done on the glass. It was, I was saying, we apply it with water, and it becomes like a mirror. You cannot really see it, but you can see yourself in the mirror. And here you have both parts of the mirror are gilded actually. This is an example of modern decor we can work on. It's a chimney. So this was a very, it's really dark, no? This one. It's something we did in Qatar, but I'm not going to speak a lot about this because you can see nothing. It's stairs here, so there is gilded lines here in the stair which are in glass. Even this part of the stairs is in glass, and there is flower carved in the glass we gild. And here you have damier on the walls, which are done with white gold. And we did like 300 meters square of damier in this place. Maybe this one is better. Yes, you can see the damier on the column there. It all is in gold. And here you have the foliage on the railing, which are gilded also. So this is an interesting project we did in Paris. It's a club, a private club, inspired by a David Lynch movie, Mulholland Drive. And I show you this picture also because it's not gold. All those pieces are in wood. Everything is leaf, but with a copper leaf. So we can also use that type of leaf, which are thicker and bigger than the gold leaf. Before we were not really using it because there was a very big risk of oxidation with those leaves. But now the gold beater are able to do copper leaf which not oxidize. And I want to finish this. I would like to speak about this story. Here you can see my boss. He hired me 10 years ago. He's working. He did this a month ago about, even if he's retired since last July. And he's still working because he doesn't want to speak about business too much because he's tired, I think, but he still wants to gild. And he did the job. This is a statue. It's a restitution, a restoration. The statue was really damaged. It's so a big metalwork has been done to do the restoration, and after that he came to gild this. And 2 weeks ago I was with him in Paris, and he had a little speech to all the team because he is leaving the company. He's almost leaving the company, and he told us about this work he did. The most important, I think, in this story is that this piece has been done in a shop in the south of France, and they have to bring it back in the west of France. So it was a big challenge to move the piece, which is really huge, and it's just one piece, by truck, and after to take an elevator to put it on the top of this church. And the thing is that there was, even if it takes place in a village where there is maybe 200 people, not more, this day, to bring this statue up, there was like 5,000 people watching of this. And he was the emotion was very big because all the area was very happy to have this statue back. And my boss explained me that the main point when he did this job was really to see in the eyes of the people how they were happy to see such a beautiful thing. And it was not only because of him, of course, because there is a lot of people involved in such a project. But it's a way to say you how much is important for us to work with other craftsmen, to see in the eyes of people we are working for, how they are happy when we finish our work, how we are happy even sometimes when we can understand what they want, because sometimes it takes time to understand. And most of the time it's not easy when it's in English for me. And so this is really about craftsman work, and it is really about human relationship and about communication between the trade. And this is a result, and I think this picture is quite nice, and you can see how it can be a big emotion for all the people who were there this day to have this statue back on their church. Here it is. Thank you very much. Thank you.